Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today we have a 20 card SGC reveal. This took about 30 days door to door. I submitted these for grading through the mail and I got them back actually last weekend, but I didn't have an opportunity to be able to put the video together until just now. As you can see by the cards in the background, this is actually going to be a reveal for the captain, Derek Jeter, which is pretty fitting because the White Sox are actually playing the Yankees right now. As I've mentioned before, Derek Jeter is one of my guys and one of the guys that I collect. He was, during the time that I was really into baseball, he probably was the most popular player. That's questionable because at the time, Griffey was still around, Bonds was kind of at the height of his power, but I think he kind of outlasted both of them and never really was supplanted until he retired by Albert Pujols or anyone else. And then obviously I think that torch went on to Mike Trout. But without further ado, let's do these cards. So these all have a theme, actually. They're all going to be, except for one, serial numbered gold cards of Derek Jeter. So these are going to be cards that have been released between 2001 all the way up to his retirement, and with 2015 Topps being his last one. So with this order, I wasn't concerned too much with the grades. I just wanted to be able to get these added into my collection. But I do have cards here that will be duplicates, and I'm hoping to be able to get better grades. And then I'll be actually trying to sell the rest of them. So let me get the rubber bands off of these cards, and we will just kind of go through them one by one. I'll talk a little bit about the card itself as I go through it, and we'll go ahead and get started. Get the invoice out of here, get the last rubber band off. It's a big stack of cards, so I'm trying not to drop them. All right, so in no particular order, why don't we start with the top here? So I already know what the grades are, so these are not going to be a surprise to me, but the first one I submitted for grading was one of the two ungraded 2001 Topps gold cards that I have, which is obviously a set that I've covered here quite a bit on the channel, so I don't have to go through a detail about it. But I already had a Derek Jeter card graded 8, so now I have a second one graded 8. The 8 was a Pop 1 and the highest graded by SGC. Well, now I have 2. And so the third card, if you were curious, also came back as an 8. So these are the highest graded cards in SGC. There are 9s that you can find in PSA. But I've noticed the cards that are even 8s are going for a lot these days from this particular set, if they're Hall of Famers or stars. So I'm pretty happy to have all the Pop 3 for the SGC 8. I'm going to have to pick the one that I just think looks the best, has the best centering, has the least amount of flaws on there for my personal collection, and I will be kind of moving on the other ones. So these are not really in order. I'd submitted them in order, but they got moved around based on years. So this is actually 2010 gold card. It came back a 9. What I like about SGC, what they do with their flips is they actually give the serial number on there, which PSA doesn't for the card. So I think that's kind of a cool feature of SGC grading for these. So this is going to be a 2010 gold card from the base set. This picture was taken during the World Series as he's jumping over Shane Victorino, who is sliding into second, and he's got the World Series patch on there, which was the last World Series that he won and was involved in. All right, so 2002, I don't have a duplicate of that card or this one. This is the first one I submitted. I bought this one a while ago. I thought it looked pretty good. I still think it looks pretty good, but the centering is just off just enough. And there's a little bit of chipping down here in the corner of the card that actually brought the grade down to an 8.5, which is okay because I've been eyeballing a few PSA 8s to purchase because I still needed that one graded. So I will just stick with this one. All right, 2003. So 2003, I have a couple of these in the order. This is the first one. This came back a 9. There actually is a 10. But this one actually looks fantastic, kind of in the holder itself. There's just a little chipping up here in the corner, and that's what kind of brought it down to a 9. But I just think it looks pretty fantastic with the borders here. So I'm going to replace that Derek Jeter over here and put him in the corner there. Which is why that's not sitting more flush. Maybe a little imperfection in the case itself there. That's preventing it to sit nicely. All right, get them centered there. All right, so this is another one I didn't have graded, but I've had the card for a while, and I thought about submitting it a few times with some of the orders I did that were all vintage. But this one, I finally submitted it, and it's the 2004, which is one of my favorite designs, set designs for the cards in the years that Derek Jeter played. This is also the year where Yadi Molina has his rookie card featured. I just think it's kind of a really cool design with the player image centered there, but then you also have like a little silver image that is like exactly the image on the card, so it varies per player. It's got the player number down there too, and then obviously the position played and things like that, and the team on top. I just think this was a real bang-up job by Topps when they put this card design out, and I love that the Topps was in red. So this came back a 9, and I couldn't be more thrilled with it. Obviously, you probably want 10s and things like that whenever you can get them, but I mean, a 9, that's going to be looking great in my collection. All right, so 2005. 2005, I already had a PSA 9. Now I have an SGC 9. So again, another one where I'm going to have to make a decision on, see which one I want to keep. This one's just a little off-center, top to bottom, and I think that's the only flaw with this card, why it didn't come back a 10. Or a 9, even a 9.5, potentially. Just one of my favorite images of all the Derek Jeter cards is him like kind of jumping over Khalil Green here, who's pictured down below, as he's throwing onto first base, trying to turn a double play. Very similar to that card too. So now we got the 2005. Some of these I knew were not perfect. That's going to be the case with this one. I'm going to show you here in a minute. This is the 2006. I didn't have the 2006 card. This one had a lot of imperfections on it, but it was like perfectly centered, which I think is the only reason it actually ended up as a 7. So I'm pretty happy that it came back a 7. I thought I was going to get as low as maybe a 4, because just about every corner has got a little bit of, a little touched up in some way, shape, or form. So couldn't be more thrilled with the grade that came back for that one. So there's the 2006 base Derek Jeter. So here is a 2007 Topps Update All-Star version of Derek Jeter. Now this one I was surprised. It actually came back in 8.5. I thought it was going to come back higher because I just thought the front looked perfect in every way, shape, and form. But if you remember, the cardstock is black on the back as well. So the actual the edges here, you can see that there's a little bit of white on here, and I think that's what brought it down. But still, nevertheless, it's still a cool looking card. Happy to have it in the collection. I didn't have that one previously graded, so that's a new one for me. Kind of add that into my collection as a graded card. All right, so 2008 is the next year. And we have an 8.5, which is great because I have a PSA 7. So that's great that this one turned out to be graded a little bit higher. So actually, it's graded higher than I thought it might. I thought that was going to be like maybe like a 7 or a 7.5. 2008, I just love that design. That has the very 60s look with the way that the team name is done at the top of the card. I think it was another bang-up job that Topps did during this era as well. All right, so now I got a 2009 update. This was the disappointment of the order. I have no idea why this one came back as 7.5. This is the update All-Star version of Derek Jeter when he played the All-Star game. This was actually at St. Louis, down at Busch Stadium. No clue. No clue. I have to look at this one more closely to kind of see why. There must be some imperfection on the surface of the card that I didn't see that brought it down. But anyway, it was for the personal collection anyway, so it wasn't one that was going to be leaving my collection. So I was happy to at least get it back and have it encapsulated. And there we go. All right, so now we have another 2003. And this one came back in 8.5. There's a little bit more wear on the bottom here on the edge, which has everything to do, I think, with the difference between it being a 9 or an 8.5 in this instance. Really cool set. The all blue borders chip pretty easily, so if you were trying to get a base card graded, that might be even more difficult than getting this one graded, honestly. So yeah, there's another 2003. All right, actually, here's another one that actually is kind of in the category, maybe the biggest disappointment, and I don't know why. So this is a 2011 Topps Gold. Not a clue. Not a clue why this one actually got a 7. I can see it's a little off-center top to bottom, and there's maybe a little bit of chipping on the very, very corners with the gold border, but not a clue why this came back a 7. So this won't be upgraded in my collection. I think I had that one already, right? I think I had the 3 out here. So let me move to 2007. There you go. There's the 2011, the golden anniversary, sorry, the platinum, not the platinum anniversary, but the diamond anniversary. So I'm going to hold off on showing you that one until the end here. Sorry about the tease, but we have another card from that same year. This is from the update series. This is the gold parallel. This is celebrating him breaking, or not breaking, but setting 3,000 hits personally when he did that season. It's actually a checklist card, but it's pretty cool. You know, I had it in a cognac version of that card. I'd still like to be able to get the diamond anniversary to go with it, but I'm pretty happy with it coming back as a gold and a 9. So 9s, I think, are good for me for these cards. All right, so we have 2012. This one actually have it at PSA 10, so I didn't need necessarily to upgrade it, but I did want to kind of move it on and sell, and I was pretty happy it came back a 9. It's not one of my favorite images of him. For whatever reason, it just doesn't, I mean, I like the throwing motion and everything, but you could definitely start seeing his age on this card. So, you know, I guess that's just my preference to see him as a younger ball player, because that's how I kind of remember him at his peak. I think these were some of the years he started to struggle with injuries and such as well. All right, so 2013, you can see I picked this one actually up recently, a PSA 9, and this one actually came back a 9.5, so awesome. Came back a higher grade, and it gives me a nice choice of whether I want to keep it in PSA or SGC, but I'm probably going to go with the higher grade. So with that said, I actually am going to do a part 2 to kind of do a showcase of all these gold cards. Including the ones that you don't see pictured for the years that we didn't review here. And then I'm going to show you the ones that are going to be up for sale at the end of that video. So that part 2 will probably be coming maybe later this week, next week, because I want to get these posted sooner than later. All right, so we're going to hold off on that one because we're going to show you, might as well do 2014 first. This one I didn't have graded yet, so I'm happy it came back a 9.5. So I like this image better than his 2012. That was the year he's coming off the injury that he had that kept him out for much of the season. Yeah, 2013 was when he only played 17 games because he got hurt in the playoffs the previous year and didn't come back till the very, very end of the season. Probably one of the most difficult points of his career. All right, so now we are going on to I guess the last 2 are going to be like the highlights of the order. But before then, we have the last card of his from the 2015 set. Couldn't be happier with a 9.5. This card's pretty popular because it's going to be his last player card, but there's so many different versions of it. I wouldn't say the gold is the most coveted, but I'm happy to have it in my collection. So very, very cool that I have that now to add into the collection. And a 9.5. All right, the last 2. Let's start with another card from that set. So in Series 1, he actually was featured on a checklist too. And this was kind of commemorating his final goodbye when he walked around the stadium, giving his tip of the hat. And it came back a perfect score. It came back a Gem Mint 10. That one really surprised me because I wasn't quite sure because I thought that card had been handled pretty well, just even by me in particular. So I was like more than thrilled that it came back at 10. And then the highlight of the order by far is going to be this following card. And this one, I just decided to throw it in there. It looked like it was centered well. I've had it for a while, and I wasn't quite sure what it would come back as because I know I've moved it from top loader to, pages in a binder, back to a top loader, then into, an Ultra Pro sleeve so I could submit it for grading. So it's been handled quite a bit, and I was surprised that it came back as a 10. And this is the Diamond Anniversary, which is one of my favorite sets from the last like 20 years is the Diamond Anniversary sets, which goes well, with the PSA 9. So now it kind of leaves me the question, like, which one stays in the personal collection? I think I kind of like it with the SGC borders. I think it helps it pop even further than it over the PSA 9. And I just am super thrilled to be able to kind of say that I got a perfect score on that card, and it's now back, now it's in my collection. So that is it. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Hope to submit some more cards again in the future. I got some more vintage stuff I want to be able to submit, as well as some more, a few more Derek Jeter things too. Probably nothing as exciting as this, but we still got some cool Jeter stuff I haven't had a chance to get encapsulated yet. So we'll see how that goes. So feel free to let me know in the comments, like what you thought of this order. If you're a Derek Jeter fan, I'd love to hear from you. And I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you soon.